Hey everyone, welcome to a special episode of Table Talk. I'm your host, Jake Holmes, and today we're going to be tearing open the box for Dominion, which is the new version of Age of Sigmar from Games Workshop. Now, if it wasn't quite obvious, they did send me this copy for the purpose of my review and sharing it with you guys. But as always, just because the fact that they sent it to us does not mean it's going to affect our opinion on it whatsoever. So let's go ahead and start opening this. Now, normally you guys see me open using my pocket knife. And today changed it up for my hobby knife simply because of the fact that I've actually been building some of my vampire models. More of my Cursed City themed models rather. Specifically finished building my adamant and my two new witch hunters as well. So one thing I really like just right off the bat is the simplicity of the box art. Usually you have like kind of a big battle scene on the cover of the boxes, but this is much more simple and definitely stands out as kind of something new. And actually, something like this is what I would normally expect for the cover. But I really like that scene. Now, all of the models in here are unique to this box. You currently can't get any of them outside of it. Now, that is not always going to be the case, at least I'm assuming. And I expect this to go not exactly like the last 40K box that came out. I expect it to be that they're going to have more on hand for pre-orders. They will likely have a limit on the number of boxes you can pre-order, which they did last time, which I believe they limited it to 3 per person. I would not be surprised if they brought that limit down to 2. But I also expect that once they run out, that they're going to do a much faster turnaround of allowing people to actually do made to order, similar to what they did before with Indomitus. Pretty sure that was the name of it. It's been a while since that box came out, and there's been a lot of cool stuff to look at since then, so forgive me if I'm mistaken on the names. So I know that during the last time we talked about this set coming out, I referred to the new destruction group as hobgoblins, or hobgrots rather. The hobgrots are actually a specific unit of this army. These are actually called cruel boys, and by far they are my favorite looking destruction faction yet. And personally, I don't really play destruction. I've never been a big fan of destruction, mostly because I feel that orcs in general are overutilized, and then the fact that you have to field so many more models because they are a horde type army typically, and so you're gonna have less originality in your units. And so with these guys, we've got 2 of the same sprue here. So right there, show you guys a little bit closer while I'm looking at this. I really like the banner itself. Already pre-etched runes, and it looks like we actually get 2 banners per sprue set. So the one right here, one right here. So just out of these 2 sprues alone, we have 4 banners already. I'm expecting that this is going to be basically 2 units, and you're going to choose which banner you like better, is my guess. Or you actually are going to have all 4 banners by the time you're done. And then we go to some of the new Stormcast. And with these, we only have one banner per sprue. Now, this is actually the first time I've actually been interested in a Stormcast army. Mostly because a majority of the Stormcasts are more big, bulky, you know, look very much like Space Marines. And I don't really like the Space Marine aesthetic other than Chaos Space Marines, because you can have a lot more originality with you know, the corruption of chaos and things like that. But with these ones, these are, you know, much slimmer, much more athletic looking, and I like the fact that, at least as of right now, not everybody's gonna be fielding them. At least everyone that fields Stormcast. But they are some great looking models. They don't have nearly as much detail as the Hobgrots do, but there's still some great looking models. So this one, we only have one sprue of. This looks like it is our pieces of our Stormcast leader, as well as the Stormcast wizard, but not the complete bodies of either, it appears. I could be mistaken. Or maybe it could just be kind of like smaller champions that go with the actual squadron or platoon, whatever you want to call them. I do like that it, you know, it comes defined with some stones that they're stepping on for a more dynamic pose. That also is going to help make basing a bit easier as well. So this one is a combination of both the Cruel Boys shaman, kind of wizard guy, as well as we have a Griffhound and one of the Stormcast command models. But this piece right here is by far one of my favorite pieces. Would love to get just a couple extra sprues of just this guy alone, just to have some extras of that to either put into like some terrain or something like that. And then we have this one, which is more pieces of some Stormcast, as well as one of the Cruel Boys command models. This one right here looks like our long range Cruel Boys, the ones that kind of have the giant crossbows, look more like spear throwers, and then also the big mounted leader, which is by far my favorite model in the set. The details on him are just absolutely fantastic. Not sure how well you guys can see it there, but like the stonework right here just looks great. The details of the beast itself, they've really done a fantastic job on this. And then this right here is the last of our Cruel Boys. So this looks like it's going to be basically our spear units. Now, personally for me, given the choice between a destruction and an order army, I would typically lean more towards order, just because of the fact that I'm not a big fan of greenskins in general, like I was saying before. And these Stormcasts, like I said, are much more appealing than we're used to seeing, at least for me. And but given the choice, I would absolutely take these Cruel Boys over these Stormcasts any day of the week. And the only exception is that the leader with the big angel wings for the Stormcast, she is absolutely fantastic model. I cannot wait to actually get started on building her. Definitely looking forward to pretty much everything in this set. We got another one of these inserts. So here is going to be, I'm assuming, our assembly guide, probably a quick start rulebook, as well as the as well as these, I can never remember what the War Scrolls are called. I always forget that they're called War Scrolls. So we're not going to take a look at those specifically. We will go over some of the rules when we do our actual written review of the game, of the updates. Now, so this here is just strictly our assembly guide. You know, as always, it is very detailed. Make the assembly of your models much easier to understand. I love how much easier it is to actually understand compared to the instructions of back from Warhammer Fantasy Battles, for example, or some of the Finecast models. There's a lot less actual instruction there. With the models being much more dynamic, having that extra instruction really does help if you want to build it per the instructions. And then here's the start here, war at Amberstone Watch. So basically, I'm assuming that this is more kind of a, what is the phrase I'm looking for? A crash course in Age of Sigmar version, 3rd edition. Now there's not really any rules here. It's more, looks like it's just strictly all information about the different unit types that you have in the box, as well as the area itself. Here is the rulebook. So they went with the collector's edition rulebook right off the bat without you having to purchase it separately. And now I've lost my hobby knife. Absolutely love the artwork. It is just stunning. Whoever they had painting these up did an absolutely fantastic job. All right, and then as always, we have a lot of lore, background information about the different factions. And we don't usually get into the actual rules for the game until over halfway through the book. And looking at it, you can actually see a kind of a color shift in the pages towards the end of the lore section. And painted versions of each one. So we basically get to page 245 where we finally get to the rules. Like I said, we're not going to go into any of the rules today, but it is very well detailed, and from what I've read about the rules so far, they are much easier to understand right off the bat. They're better worded, and the fact that everything is in full color definitely helps kind of make identifying different things easier. And as I'm sure, like many people, things that are going to be more important for how I play, are probably going to get highlighted at some point. And then even shows some studio collections of some of the different war bands. We have some narrative play rules. From what I've been reading, this edition is leaning more towards narrative play more than anything else, which is going to be honestly my favorite way to play. Unless like if you're doing like a campaign that's more or less going to tell a story, like about how your units are, essentially growing like a slow grower league, or kind of telling the story of an area, and you're basically living that story while you're playing it. That personally to me makes a much more interesting game than just go in, kill them all, rinse and repeat. Which can still be fun, but I prefer at least some sort of story involved. But again, absolutely fantastic looking rulebook. Cannot wait to dive into that. Under the flap, we have our big bag of bases, and then under the other flap, we have our bigger bases. Now, one thing I do find interesting is the distinct lack of dice. It seems that over the years they've moved away from having dice in the box as well to Basically, you know, you have to supply your own dice, which I completely get. With as much stuff as they're packing into these boxes, it is going to make, you know, filling it full of dice much more difficult, because you're going to have, you know, the space is already needed for other things, and so, you know, filling it up with dice is going to be problematic without having to expand the size of the box. But it's an absolutely fantastic looking set. I cannot wait to get started on this. Just every piece of it just looks great. The modelers, the designers, they've done a fantastic job on these models. I cannot wait to get started. And then hopefully soon we will have our full written review of the new rules as well. I just don't know how quickly we'll be able to get that out, because normally when we get a new box like this, we typically, you know, go and try it, play it, write our review on the rules using proxy models. But for the first time, I'm actually going to be starting building the models before reviewing the rules for them. So it will take me some time before we actually get those new rules out, or sorry, the new review out for this box set. But absolutely great looking box. Cannot wait to get started on this. Thank you to Games Workshop for sharing this with us. It's absolutely stunning craftsmanship here, and I know that some things I've heard about the rules are definitely very interesting. I especially love some the changes I'm hearing about in terms of playing with monsters, because I've always been a big fan of the big monsters on the table as well. So, you know, having some new special rules that make them much more interesting on the tabletop definitely has my attention. So some things to look forward to. Next week should have the release of the new Gaunt's Ghost models. We might be able to actually get some ourselves and showcase them on the show. I'm hoping so. I don't know for certain. I do believe that we are to be receiving some other models here over the next few days that we'll be unboxing as well. So we should have that for you guys next week. Like I said during the last video, our new videos basically will be showing Wednesday night, Thursday mornings, somewhere in there, depending on what time I get to film. As you can see by the light around me, it is daytime for the first time filming in probably a couple of years now. So we're actually filming this ahead of time. Normally we film it and immediately post it, but because of the embargo, we are filming early so we can get a head start on the models and scheduling the video. So by the time you see this, it will be after basically 12:01 a.m. On the 14th. So some things to look forward to, but thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you all next week. Goodbye.